All righty. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to the Hurley Investments Trade Findings and Adjustments. Give me a yes or a Y or something if you hear me. Otherwise, I'm just going to continue assuming you hear me. Today is the September 9th, 2024. Trade findings. Just at the beginning here, have up what I had on for the 12th. Last week, there was still this uncertainty over the FOMC meeting. You can kind of see just after the initial bounce back to the recent highs on our S&P, fell back down, and there was just not a good direction or understanding of where the market was going, and a slight bounce back up to hit that 50-day. Obviously, yesterday we finally got our FOMC meeting. We got a big rate cut of 0.5%, 50 basis points, and so we had a big bounce up. Again, last week we talked a lot about NVIDIA, Micron. We'll get a little bit to Apple. Well, let's just check out NVIDIA. Nice bounce right back above that 50-day. Micron. It doesn't look like much, but that's a couple of %. .2%, which admittedly isn't huge for Micron, but it is certainly positive and going in the right direction, and of course will be helped by the rest of the tech going up. And we have earnings on Micron, I think on September 30th, which usually we'll get a run into that earnings of report. Similar how you see up here where it went up to all-time highs before starting to turn back down. Anyways, we went over why Micron had fallen down beginning of September. Much of it was being pulled with the market, but also they had a downgrade. We went over that downgrade, which was kind of bullcrap. We couldn't, neither Kevin nor I could agree with the reason it was downgraded, and plus it was downgraded by a no name. So shouldn't mean much. But again, ridiculous opportunity. High of most recent high 155, and it's down by at 89. No reason why it can't start to make a run up. Why do I emphasize Micron over NVIDIA? Well, again, man, high of 155. Just to do some math for you, that's 42% sell-off. Ridiculous. Over what? NVIDIA has come down a bit, but I mean, we're only less than 10% off of its highs. or I guess about around 10%. Other problem with NVIDIA is the fact that it's just so expensive, not in stock price, but options are crazy expensive. The value you get for options in Micron goes much further, and the stock has more opportunity. So that's why I keep going that way. Not that NVIDIA is not still a decent opportunity, especially if it's uh, bouncing up over that 50-day moving average. So after going a little bit over what I talked about last time, I think you guys can kind of guess where my trade is going to be at. Market is responding. You would imagine, especially tech. Most of those tech stocks have done really quite well through the rate hiking period. But now, if no other thing changes except for rate cuts, that's a huge deal for our tech stocks that have been leveraged. They've sold off, or not sold off. They've gotten rid of a bunch of employees. They're less expensive, have less expenses, and now can start borrowing it less and less as the rate cut starts coming in more and more. And we're being told another 50 basis point cut on the horizon before end of year. Apple up 3.65. Huge bounce above the 50-day. Will likely run up above that 236-ish high. Baidu is even responding nicely. See if it holds up above that 50-day today and another couple days, because you see every time it's gotten, not this one, but last couple times it's closed above the 50-day, just falls, can't hold it. So let's see what this does after a few days. So, I mean, you could look at an Apple call. Not a terrible idea. I would wait on a Boeing. What other what other tech do we got? We talk about Google sometimes. They're on a run. They haven't gotten yet to their 50-day, but huge bounce today, almost 2%. Coming up against that pivot point, I don't think that would be something they can't pull off and get over tomorrow. Got Meta that's up. Oops, Meta. It's up above their all-time highs. They're putting a new all-time highs in today. 557, up $20 almost, 3.68%. Touching overbought. So I'm not sure. That is one that I would look at. We already have a bunch of bull calls for a lot of clients in Meta. So we're hanging on to those and seeing, because we have plenty of time, where that gets to. So obviously, if you have something like that already, run your numbers, do your math. You have a bull call, you take the debit of your long and the credit of your short, and you subtract that credit from the debit. That gives you your cost basis. Then you have the difference in your strike prices. You subtract your net debit, your net spend, and that is going to be what you can make total out of that. So run those numbers and see where your profit is on a Meta bull call. And if you've got 90% of the potential profit, then geez, just book the profit. Book the profit and think about rolling it up to a new bull call. But if that is the case, you're at all-time highs, you're at a overbought slightly, and every time it's done that, or even gotten fairly close, it's backed off a bit. So could be smarter to just book the profit if you're up at 80-90% total potential profit, and then wait a couple days and see where it goes. No reason to feel anxious about something like that. What other tech do we got? I showed you Nvidia, Micron. That's the only ones I care to show. But let's look at Nvidia one more time. Not overbought, just over this 50-day. But out of all of those opportunities, I just keep coming back to this one. The only real negative is that right now the market is less excited about Micron than it is about Apple, Nvidia, Meta. But there's no reason why Micron can't start to get a little bit of buying into it. Held up nicely at that double bottom. Micron still looks like the best opportunity for a bullish trade in a bullish market. Look at your 90 strike leap calls or look at going out a few months. The other negative, of course, is this crossover, which usually means 8% down. This crossover between the 50 and 200. But right now it's holding up. It's getting up, bouncing today. Just might mean that you maybe need a little more time. And that's pretty much it. Any questions this morning? Other techs look nice, but haven't sold off as much as Micron and not as much upside. By that, I mean upside to get back to highs. I mean, I showed you Meta was already up at new highs, Apple up at new highs, and the others somewhat close. Google might be that exception, and this may be the other one that could be a good opportunity to get back there. If I were to choose one more. What I like about Google over Micron is simply that they've already been bouncing and on a bullish run and have a little more market sympathy and market love fueling that, where Micron hasn't quite yet gotten that as much. All right, guys, I'm not seeing any questions. Thank you for joining me. Man, it's going to be a good day. Good day for us. Take it easy, and we'll see you next time. Take care.